Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the LCO. Finally, deep into the source now, week 4. And of course, it is a Tuesday, which means it is the first day of the, I guess, gaming week, at least for us over here at the LCO. And look, we had some banger matchups last week, some of the best we've seen so far, and some really good upsets as well. So before we dip into today, let's have a quick look back at what happened last week.
Yes, we are. Oh, pixel perfect. He hits the paranoia as the lantern goes out, goes for a roam from mid to bot, and then takes out Sybil. He tried to proc the lullaby. The lullaby gets cancelled. Animation went out, but it doesn't seem to matter. Featherstorm is there. He can't bring back the feathers. The recall is unsuccessful. 1 kill into 2. Snap back in. He needs to be here. Hecarim stuns. Hecarim looking for a flanking angle. Oh! Hits the smite steal. Oh no, Azus has done it. TP's in, finds a kill, deletes Vengeance now, looking to try and wipe as many members as possible. As exhaust, Maelstrom, damage, delete, can they find the kill? He blows clear on the flank. It's a 1-for-1 so far. But the Direwolves, they're just too strong. They continue to hit skill shots, they continue to find angles, and they continue.
And there you have it. We had a lot of action on that Friday, and we did have some extra talent there, of course, calling the plays, and we have some more talent today who hopefully will be calling the plays again. That's going to be Jubes and Skimmy today. Boys, how are we doing? Jubes, you're looking spectacular as always.
I just taken a few pages out of your book, mate. I thought, how can I look as... I got to keep it up to standard. You set a standard, you set the bar, and I'm not allowed in if I don't get over the bar, so... Skimdog, you're looking pretty good too, mate.
Look, I think we missed the memo, Jubes. He comes in with the pineapple shirt, he's feeling clean. He's like, you know, we're starting off a competitive week. It's Tuesday. It's basically my weekend, and you and me are just like, yeah, cool. We're dressed up to impress, but definitely not to the max standard. But I'm excited for today.
Yeah, very excited for today. Look, I'll give you a few tips once we're done here, and you know, maybe we're off camera. I know you guys have to work the whole time during those games, but. Look, it's something. Speaking of games, we have a gamer overseas by the name of Destiny, and he's been doing pretty well. He's been making some waves, and fortunately, we have Nat, who's usually down on the sideline. She actually flew over and had a chat with Destiny, so let's see what he had to say.
Hey everyone, I am so lucky to be joined by Destiny from Immortals. Destiny, how are you going?
Oh, I'm going good. It's nice here in LA. Been scrimming a lot recently. It's the playoffs weekend, so kind of putting in like the final hours right now.
What's the support been like from the org as a whole and all the other players?
Well, the infrastructure here is quite insane. It's really set up a 5-minute walk to the office. We have 2 coaches, a manager. Our general manager's always there. We've always got a lot of support staff. I feel like I can just show up and play. You
know, for a lot of people in Oceania, they are looking up to people of the likes of you that have come from here. But is there anyone you look up to in the LCS in terms of supports?
Well, okay, I have to say Core JJ, right? Because he's kind of like the king of LCS in terms of support. Like, he's like the main rival, the person that like everyone considers to be the best support in NA. It's pretty cringe to say, but like, yeah, he's like my rival, the guy I want to beat, right?
How would you rate your supporting skills in comparison to all the other LCS?
I don't want to be too humble and be like, I'm like a bottom support, but I don't want to be cocky and say that I'm so good, you know, like I'm the next big thing. In some of my champions, I feel like I could get an edge. I kind of got a reputation for my Nautilus in Europe. It was like my most played by far. So I would comfortably say that I'm the best Nautilus. When you've got Core JJ, Sword Art, and Vulcan, I think the support talent in that regard is like really, really good. I wouldn't say I'm like top 3 or anything right now, but obviously that's a goal to like work towards.
So you do talk about LCO a little bit, that you have been watching. What are your thoughts on the players and the team so far?
It's quite interesting actually, the LCO right now, because Direwolves they were kind of expected to do really well, and they've kind of had like a rough start. I would say Pentanet, they've kind of like surprised. They kind of clicked like straight away. I think they had a really good read on the meta with their drafts on the weekend. Like, the teams to watch would be Pentanet and Peace right now. I think Violet is definitely an upcoming talent in LCO, and yeah, I would actually say Pabu has actually kind of surprised me, you know, like for a role swap jungle, he's looking like the best jungler right now. So
do you have a favorite team at all by chance, if you had to play favorites?
Okay, I have to admit I do have some bias, and I would say I'm biased because I'm an Aladoric fan. I'm a big Aladoric fan. I'd probably say Peace. I'm sorry guys.
Laning with Raze? Because he's also from O, so what's that been like? Give us a little bit of an insight.
Well, me and Raze, we got some history there, you know, like losing in 2018 was kind of blew, especially getting reverse swept. Like that's like a dark memory, you know. But it's been great. I've really enjoyed playing with Raze. Yeah, that's a memory that we've like zoned out. Like we've moved on from that, but it feels good, you know. Like working with people that I've worked with before in Origin in Europe. Obviously, I didn't know anybody, so it was really hard for me to like assimilate or get used to people.
Do you keep in contact with any other Oceania players over there, or are you just like focusing on the team, focusing on Raze? It's me and him till the end.
I still talk to some of the Oath pals. I still talk to Fudge, C9 Fudge. For Academy, I still talk to like King and Babip, my old teammates from Mammoth. Swiper, I talk to sometimes. The coach, Golden Guardians. You try to keep up, like everyone's kind of doing their own thing and like focusing on their season.
Any final words that you want to give to any OS fans back home, to the LCO community, to the LCO players?
Thank you for your support for myself, Immortals. Thank you for supporting the OS scene. Obviously, this is a new League of Legends. This is like a new tournament, I would say. So I think they've done a great job on production and like building this community. So thank you guys for everything.
There you go. So good to hear straight from the horse's mouth that he is thoroughly enjoying the LCO and his time over in America. Speaking of, though, let's bring Nat in and see what she thought of the interview, because looked like you're having a good time in that one.
Oh, I've got to say, Destiny was an absolute legend, you know? If he is watching right now, shout out to him. He was so enjoyable to interview. But something that we didn't get to see from that is he was telling me that one of the things he absolutely misses about Australia, food-wise, is KFC. He's a fiend for the KFC. He would, I think... Of
all the things.
Yeah, I think he was talking about it for a solid, like, 2 to 3 minutes. He was like, it's just nothing up to that standard. Maybe Chick-fil-A, but that's it. So
I thought
it was...
they have...
No, they do, but KFC in America is just all fried chicken. None of the burgers, none of the wraps.
Yeah.
Oh, right.
Yeah, it's different to like our KFC in a sense.
Game changer, wow.
Yeah, but it was good. I mean, apart from the food stuff, to catch up with him and talk to him a little bit and find out how he's been.
No, it was good. I've actually seen something's been leaked on Twitter, and it's that apparently your deal with the Rust Dog is going to be flipped if Amumu isn't picked. You'll be getting the tattoo. So I just wanted to quickly ask your thoughts on that before we send you back to the sidelines to get ready for the pre-game interview.
You know, look, I said to Rusty to not get too comfortable with the blank space on his arm. And we kind of turned this into, you know, a battle of wits and charm and who's really going to come out on top. And I guess maybe I got a little over-eager that potentially some of the players would be playing Amumu, and I'm not sure I'm 100% okay with what's happened now.
Well, look, you've made your cake, and let's see if you have to eat it too, I guess. Anyway, we'll send you back down to the sidelines, and I guess we'll see you shortly with the pre-game interview.
See you guys then.
Toodle-oo to Nat. And that brings us one step closer to game day. But before we get there, let's have a quick look at the standings and where all the teams are currently sitting on the ladder. Of course, Pentanet still undefeated at the top. Peace copying another L, so now they're 6-2. Direwolves Chiefs still both tied for third at 5-3. And you've got Order on just 4-4 sitting in fifth, which leaves them open to maybe falling out of contention if Legacy continue their run. Gravitas and Mammoth as well down at the bottom on 1-7. So, Jube's going to throw this one to you. Anything that sort of pokes out to you from this ladder at the moment in terms of what could happen or where we might end up in the next coming weeks?
Oh, it's just a scary ladder at the moment. I mean, as a player, you can't rest. You know, normally at this point in a season, you start to say, okay, we've got a little bit of breathing room. Maybe we can try a few things out, try different comps. But, you know, you slip up here, then all of a sudden Chiefs overtake Direwolves, vice versa. Especially if you're an Order fan, you know, sitting at 4-4, Legacy win one game, all of a sudden it's panic station. So I think it's just a really hotly contested ladder at the moment. And, you know, everywhere that we look, there's a potential for, you know, a shift, a change. And come playoff time, you know, you always want to be in the highest position possible because, let me tell you, it can become quite exhausting come playoffs.
Look, it's going to be one of those scary situations because I think Legacy has one of the easier on paper games today as well. So that win can come, but, you know, the same thing can be said for Order as well. If you have a look, they're going to be taking on Mammoth at 7 p.m. Of course, that Legacy game coming up at 6 p.m. initially. But with Gravitas playing in the form they are, if Legacy do drop the ball again, then we might see Gravitas jumping up to 2 and 7. 8 p.m. of course, you have Chiefs and Peace going head-to-head, and to round things off, what I feel like could be the best game of the day is at 9 p.m, Pentanet taking on Direwolves. And Direwolves, they're coming into form. Pentanet, they're looking very good, so that could be one of those bangers, Skimmy.
Certainly could be. I mean, this is now Direwolves, 4 wins on the go. A team that took a bit of time to try and find their identity and wake up to the experience or expectations that fans and no doubt themselves have put on each other to reach their caliber. And I think second spot in the league right now doesn't feel too comfortable for Peace. I feel like there's definitely a storyline building where second spot is up for debate, as Juves touches on. The fact that fifth spot as well. A couple of unsung heroes could start to emerge from the likes of Legacy, Gravitas and Mammoth to really cause an upset here. So individual matches, I think you're looking at rivalries or jostling around those positions to upset the power rankings coming to week into day 2. Yeah, Wednesday, tomorrow.
Yeah, speaking of unsung heroes, sometimes we disregard how much impact the top lane has on the game, or maybe we don't give it as much love as we should. And speaking of that, let's have a look at the key picks for top. So Nah, I feel like, has had a whole lot of influence in a lot of these games in terms of initiating a lot of the fights. And then you got Sion, Ornn, and Camille there as well, Juice.
Yeah, Ornn being a key pick is a bit of a funny one, because I think it's more like an O special than it is something that's being, quote-unquote broken. Obviously Sion being there so strong because the way that you can flex it in the mid lane, Korea in particular are a region that really do like the Sion mid, and Chovy almost just plays it. When Chovy plays it, it's like, is this champion a full tank? Does it do damage? I don't understand. And potentially we see that in OS now. We see a lot of Sion drafted, but we put it into the mid lane. And Camille and Nah, just two staples. Nah predominantly being the one that you blind. Camille being the one where we have, for some reason, a lot of top laners in OS in particular are like Camille one-tricks or started off being a Camille main. So it's no surprise that that's a key pick. And that's something that we see week in and week out.
And just a whole bunch of bands get invested towards it as well, Mac, right? We've seen so many drafts that are happening now where, you're looking at a late Camille pick. I think we've seen situations where the likes of Maximize have picked it, into Oblivion as a result. So we're seeing a lot of second rotations of bans being like, hey, we're going to go Camille, you need to force this Camille ban, otherwise, we're going to make your life misery. So, yeah, interesting. Yeah,
very interesting to look at that. And I guess we'll see Nah, Camille, and Ornn and everything picked again today, because that's all we seem to pick, other than, the occasional karma thrown in here and there. But look, I want to hear from the fans now. We'll go into the From the Fans segment, have a quick look at what we're going to be doing this week, and that is OP.GG reviews. So I think we have a couple to kick things off, namely from people on the desk. So I am not... I heard, Jubes, you actually specialize in OP.GG reviews. So can you please take me through this and tell me what's right and what's wrong about this image?
Well, firstly, this account in particular, I would say, if you really value League of Legends points, if you really want to climb the Summoner's Rift ladder, you need to put the Bard away. And that's going to hurt. That's not something that you want to hear. But this Bard is not working for you whatsoever. Now, I'm a man of fine taste, and I can appreciate the Bard is one of those things, but maybe you guys just don't see eye to eye, and it's something that really isn't working for you. Skimmy?
Yeah, look, I think, you can tell this person's definitely a team player, gone for the Brom, 83%, likes to get it done, right? Spread the love, the joy of Christmas fever as everybody gets stunned and locked in place, and clearly has hands as well to play the likes of a Fresh too. So, hey, you definitely got some positives, but maybe Bard is one for another day.
And I feel terrible saying that, because we know he loves the Bard.
You can tell. 13 games, definitely showcasing that, hey, it's one to go for, but 31%, it hurts you in your soul, doesn't it? It really does.
It really does. And look, just so everyone at home knows, this is, of course, Rusty's OP.GG page. Now, let's bring up the star of the show, myself, so you guys can roast me, tell me what I'm doing right, what I'm doing wrong, Look, I've been playing a lot of Graves. I was on a 7-win streak up until I had an inting Twitch running it down mid in that defeat there. But look, with that being, thrown to the side, whatever, tell me what's good and what's bad about this other than my terrible KDs.
I think maybe easier to execute champions for you, Mac. I think, the Shyvana, the Graves, sure, you won, but they don't look like blinders if you ask me. 5, 10, 8, 3, 12, 21, you won, good job. But the other thing I wanted to touch on, Master Yi, I see in there, You don't respect the rules of the game.
Gonna say,
Okay? You don't respect League of Legends in general. Okay? You have no respect for the game if that's in your most played. Okay? You need to stick to stuff like the Udia. It's not working for you right now, but we can do coaching later. And just easy to execute champions. You know, ones with a ton of CC, maybe a little bit of health as well. Maybe the Skarner even, because they won't pay QSS taxes in low elo. There's definitely things we can do to get you up there, Mac. Don't worry about that. Silver is incoming.
You can definitely tell the Juice he respects the game in some way, right? Definitely the sky is the limit in terms of he's playing jungle. He's showcasing that he can really control this game, right? Like I can determine if we're going to go for a dragon. Are we going to win this game? Only I can decide, right? Yeah. So, and also he went for the Rammus, and given how many of those Yasuos and Yones and God knows what else you find in ranked, definitely a hard counter champion. So I respect that.
100%. But if I ever see Master Yi, you have no respect for League of Legends.
Sometimes, look, it's usually when I see that I don't have too much AD on the team, and I'm just like, look, I don't trust this guy's going to carry playing whatever he's playing in bot lane. So, you know, I'm just going to go Yi. Hopefully we can play for the late game and then get the W. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But look, we'll go forward from there. I'll try to stay away from the Yi just for you.
Mac, which one do you actually enjoy the most out of those? Which one do you personally enjoy most playing?
I actually, since I picked up Graves the other day, I've been having a whole lot of fun. I've had a couple of really good games, which weren't actually put on that image. So look, I'll shout out to whoever decided to choose that, but it is what it is. Anyway, let's move forward because we do have the game coming up. Enough about me. And speaking of, you know, maybe some players that don't respect the game in terms of Jube's opinion, we got a lineup which has Incursio on it. So let's bring up Legacy, and you know, you want to run us through the players here.
So Legacy, obviously, in the top lane, have been through the Madman on Azir that we often see. I actually saw it in another region. I can't remember the region, but they definitely play Azir in competitive somewhere else. So from clear, he's just ahead of the meta. Jungle, mid lane Incursio, AD carry or bot lane in particular for Legacy, style. And so the one thing I want to touch on with this Legacy roster is week on week, you're getting better, aren't they?
What about you, Skimmy? Any thoughts on Legacy before we move too much further in? All right, and cool, no worries. The apparently we're having a couple of issues which we're working through, but look, Legacy, they're a great team. We love Legacy. We love to see the entertainment that Incursio brings to that mid lane. Of course, you got Sybil there in the jungle as well, who loves to go for those initiations, and he's very, very skilled in that position. You know, the rest of the team as well. I think Winterer up at top. He's been a very dangerous player to go near, especially in that early game. Man's insane in the top lane. Oh, it's just been a whole damn time for Legacy, and unfortunately, maybe their skill isn't represented correctly by their score. I guess that's another talk once we do get the boys back. But down in that bottom lane as well, Styled and Emelg, or MLG, or Gleam backwards, however you want to say it, it's been a time. It's been a damn time. So, you know, after all this, the question is, who is going to win today? And of course, it is the battle of two sides. So we are going to have a quick chat about Gravitas as well. Gravitas, you love to see them. You want them to win, and you want them to get so damn close, which they have so many times. But unfortunately, they're still 1-7, and today could be one of those days where that could be changed. Now, running through the roster, we do have Safa, Azus, Kyose, Piglet, and Isaiah, who are hopefully going to be doing a very good job. I think that's the roster that we're running with today, so I'll double check that very shortly. But speaking of Gravitas, they're very, very efficient in the server. You know, they're getting target banned a lot, which unfortunately leaves them incapable of playing a couple of, you know, rosters that we'd love to see in the server. But for the most part, you know, you're looking at your Kyose to sort of set things up from that mid lane. You got Azus there, who actually had a spectacular game last week. You know, not only the Baron steal on that Hecarim, but he also managed to steal a Dragon as well. Unfortunately, though, it was not enough, and we still managed to see Gravitas take it very deep in that game up against Order, who eventually took the win. Even though I still feel like Gravitas could have had that W at any given point if a couple of the team fights went the other way. Now, down in that bottom lane as well, you got Piglet and Isaiah. And look, Piglet, he's been impressive lately. He's been doing a pretty good job, all things considered. He does have, you know, obviously tough opposition a lot of the time. There's some very skilled ADCs in the LCO right now, and it's rough as well because you got Safa in the top lane, who unfortunately has a lot of rough opposition. He's been doing a very good job when he gets an opportunity, but the thing is the opportunities don't come a lot of the time. Gravitas, they're one of those teams that managed to get a very early lead, and unfortunately it just doesn't turn into those wins. When they do get the early lead, it seems like they'll get a bit standoffish. It'll be a little bit awkward sometimes for them to try to get back in. But look, while we're running through this, before we get into the game, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to go to a short break. So don't go too far. We'll be right back with match number 1 of the day.
In the morning, we can take a shower, take a couple hours. Now we on into the money, we just let it blow. Still in that simple outfit, take it slow, we take it slow. You ain't scared to take it fast, you ain't scared to crash. Got me feeling gas, looking at that. Yeah. Girl, you know you're sexy and you know it's true, and that's just you being you. Cause I love the way that you do, yeah. Cause I love the way that you do, yeah. Cause I love the way that you do, yeah. Cause I love the way
Throw me aside at the end of the game. Turn your back cause I call your name. Another love gone bad again. Bad again, bad again. Slam the door as you curse my name. Toss my clothes on the open flame. Another love gone bad again. Bad again, bad again. Well, I'm glad that it's over, cause it can't hurt anymore. Hurt anymore. And I won't look past my shoulder, cause it can't hurt anymore. Hurt anymore. Then it's already done. Now you're on your own, hope you feel the pain of your thoughts inside, driving you insane. Now another love gone bad again. Bad again, you're bad again. That you're on your own, hope you feel the pain.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. I have managed to find the casters. They ran away. They said, Mac, we hate ya. We want you to do this all on your own. And fortunately for your guys' ears, we have more than just my monotonal voice here. And it's in the form of Jubes and Skimmy. So, boys, how you doing? And I hope you heard how great I was at analyzing both those teams. Anything you want to add on this Legacy and Gravitas matchup before we do get in the game?
I couldn't even top what you did if I tried. I started to think, I was actually talking to our producer off air. You probably couldn't even hear us. I said, just leave it as a Mac show.
Yep.
Me and Skimmy will watch. I'm happy watching.
Oh, yeah. I still collect the paycheck, though, yeah?
Oh, I mean,
sure,
I didn't
right?
say not to pay me.
Yeah,
I said,
of course, right? Like,
Mac do my work, my job, and I'll get paid.
I
Yeah,
can just
we're
imagine
always
Mac's
happy to
analysis would have
share.
been, really in depth. Like, and then here you can see clicking and shooting, warding, pinging, and typing, clicking, shooting, victory screen.
Yeah,
Passion
the
project.
CTs winning over those Ts was very, very fortunate. Now, we do have Nat to bring back as well because she is down on the sidelines with two spectacular players. Who are those players today, Nat?
The players that I'm going to be talking to, I don't know why I sounded so excited, very eager, is Sybil and Safa. But,
Okay.
I really enjoy interviewing both of these guys. Safa probably because he dropped the first biggest swear on the stream. He used up, do you remember that one? He used up
Yeah.
our F-bomb, what is it?
The quota.
I don't know.
Counter.
What
The swear
yeah,
quota.
quota. That's it. I was
Yeah, the weekly
thinking of the word
quota.
quota.
Because that was the second time he came on the interview as well was when you dropped out, and then I congratulated him on not using up the quota for the week because he managed to hold it back. And then, Sybil as well, always good for a bit of a chin wag. The man can talk.
He can. I mean, I love talking to him in post game. He just gives me a lot of insight. I don't know if it's obvious. I don't know, every ins and out of league. So sometimes it's nice when I get players who are willing to explain a little bit more to me and the viewers as well. So
I guess before we jump into that interview, Jubes, look, you're a jungler main yourself. We haven't seen a whole lot of Elise from anyone but Sybil. Is there a reason for that?
It's got a timer, and it needs to get stuff done. So you have to get stuff done in the early game, in the first 5-10 minutes. And even then, you don't clear the jungle really fast, so then you just get outpaced by, the Hekarims, the Udyrs, and it's just really volatile.
Okay.
But kind of suits Sybil's playstyle, because Sybil is like the 100 or 0, 100, just straight to 100 player, and he likes to make those risky plays. So, alas, we have Sybil.
And look, I'll take some bets as well quickly before we get into the interview. Do we think that Safa's going to be dropping any F-bombs, or is he just going to be dropping knowledge bombs?
no, I reckon he'll definitely use that quota first game of the week.
Bugger.
The only F-bomb I
ridiculous.
think he's going to drop his first blood. In
Oh, that was good.
That's clever.
But I meant it in either direction. It's just going to happen in that vicinity of the map. It could be him getting first blood or giving first blood.
You know what's
Hey,
interesting,
top teams.
James? You know what's interesting? Out of all the teams in this league, Gravitas are the only team not to have got first blood yet.
I didn't know that stat
At
before I
all.
said that. I'll be honest with you.
There you go. So it's what
Are
are you doing?
sure?
Just jinxed.
Yeah, okay. I guess they might have not got first blood, but I think there's been a few times where they do get ahead early. So maybe it's like they lose first blood, but then get the 2 kills back. That's interesting. And
Whole sense of security they want to lull them into.
in terms of Safa, do you think we're going to see him on the Scion again, or something a little more meta?
I think he was on the Ornn. He was versing the Scion though.
Yeah.
I do think that it was a pretty good pick for them. Like I said previously, they just needed to farm minion waves.
Yeah.
There's just a balance between farming and grouping for fight. If Gravitas can actually fix that, then I think they become a team that really does contest for the middle of the pack, right? And that's what's interesting for me is like you had that week to go away to work on it, to be able to play the game a little more efficiently, because I feel like against Order, all it came down to was efficiency. Obviously a little bit of execution, but for the most part, they would have had a significant gold lead if they were just catching sideways. And it's a different playstyle that Safa's used to, so let's see how he's worked on it, if he's gone away, or if they're going to throw that playstyle away completely.
No doubt the composure as well, right? In that late game, they'd had so many close calls of stealing away the likes of Barons and Dragons, and in that one final blast cone, right? The fact that it forces Kyosa to flash out and be like, I've been trolled, I've been absolutely griefed by my jungler here, right? And poor Sepha, as you say, right? So many ultimates went out, so many R2s got cancelled as well, Order really making his life difficult. So one of those champions, right, that wants to get those side waves unlocked as quickly as possible for one benefit, obviously, to be strong in the side waves to, go for those little 1v1s, but also to get those ornaments out to your allies as quickly as possible. And, that was a very close game. So, if there is that macro pressure, that sort of next level of chess that your opposition has to go up against, it doesn't become as easy for the the 5v5 ARMs to break out and just stalemate until a dragon or a baron is there for the taking.
All right, look, I've had some unfortunate news in my ear, and that is that Nat, you're not going to be doing any interviews today, not for this match at least.
That's
so
all right.
You want to
I'll ask
interview
you
me?
guys the questions. Yeah, I'll ask you guys the
go
questions
for it.
I was
Okay.
going to ask
Quickly.
them.
Let's go.
Okay, I was going to ask Sybil about... I have to run it through my head now. They've gone out the window. Oh yeah, that the only win that Gravitas has was against them, and like how they're feeling going up against them again after having a few wins.
I'll take this one. Yeah,
Go for it.
it's all about the boys. We're probably going to do it again today. Really confident in, we've scrimmed once, but that scrim was a spectacular scrim. And look, let me tell you today, the other boys, they're not going to make it through us.
I love it. That confidence is just exactly what I want to be seeing out of the players down there. But the other question I was actually going to ask Gravitas was about their roster change. I was just very intrigued as to why it's come around, especially because Yosei has gotten a lot of praise on his playstyle recently.
Let me try and answer that one for you. I think that Rizza and Kyosei have two different types of champion pools, okay? And so potentially Rizza wants to play more of the Syndra, different types of control mages, Cassiopeia, and it creates like a little bit of a different identity for Gravitas. Now, I could completely eat my words and he just opts in for a Karma matchup in the mid lane. But nevertheless, like I said, Kyosei really likes the Ahri, plays things like the Karma. Had the Orianna game that wasn't too bad, but maybe it's just a different dynamic that we're going to see from Gravitas, and it's maybe the shake-up they need to add a little bit of a, a little bit of spice into their gameplay.
So, Jubes, you are the Gravitas expert here. Do you want to tell me
100%.
what's coming up in this video you prepared for us?
Huh?
The Gravitas video we're about to look at.
Did I prepare a
I
video?
think it's Jubes' agent. It's just a lot of
Listen, I get a lot of offers.
conversation. Look, he's too busy to answer all these phone calls. I have to take those phone calls for him sometimes. Look, at the end of the day, it's just a lot of pep talk. Boys ride around. Gravitas and Glory, the theme tune, the ringtone. Play the clip.
All right, let's have a look at the video now.
Gravitas. Glory.
Alright, you guys burn it fast so that we don't lose Baron.
Gonna survive.
Burn it fast so we don't lose Baron.
Just a little bit longer.
I'll just listen you out.
Yeah.
Alright.
Hang on a minute.
They're going Baron here.
Oh,
We
they're
need to
Baron.
run.
Okay, fine,
Suffer.
fine. Alright, just leave him to finish it, and then everyone else come up now. Everyone else come up. Everyone else come up. So I'm sleeping. I'll walk first.
They do it so slowly. Look at that.
Okay, if they do it so slow,
No,
then
no
we
bit
can
talk.
take
No
it for
bit
a fight.
talk. It's our turn to run up.
We can walk in.
No bit talk.
Alright, slowly. Nathan, wait, chill. Let me walk up though.
Yes,
Alright,
yes.
They can't do this. I think
I'm
they
going
just
back
wanna
mid.
fight. They just wanna fight.
It's a 4v5. Let's force the fight. They go straight in.
They just wanna fight. Let's not. It's
We walk out, we walk out, we
bad,
walk
it's bad, I think.
Okay,
I think
if Phil
it's
doesn't
bad.
want to fight, back off.
I know, it's fine.
Yeah, back off.
What enough is enough.
I have no ult here. You got the
They can't
dragon.
Baron.
They're going
they
to it
might
right
go
now.
it now, but I have TP on spawn. Dude, I'm telling you, their Baron's too slow.
I saw blue trinket.
Are they on it? Yeah, they're on it. They're on it.
We have a blue trinket. Can we?
We
can
should
check?
look. Yeah.
Alright, they are. It's too slow. I'll be
Can we
honest.
wait?
We need to walk with Heck. We need to walk with Heck though.
I think we wait for me.
Yeah.
10 seconds.
Can.
They're just trying to find a blitzhook. Okay, step up a bit, Thresh. Like Thresh step
Let's
up.
go. I wanna look. Guys, Baron.
I'm TPing. Alright, Baron's in 2k, 1k. They're trying to burn it. They're trying to burn Baron.
Zaya?
Baron.
I got it.
Last steal.
In the pit only.
Zaya no ult. Good sign. No flash. Good job. Walk mid. Azus? Go to Korea.
Gravitas. Glory.
Well, there you go. What are those insane moments there, Juice? The fact is that Azus was CC beyond belief, but still managed to find the ultimate, still managed to find the drive-by steal away on that Baron with the smite steal. And seemed calm and composed, right? Yeah, I got it. Carry on.
They're very polite gentlemen in the team comms. I played in some teams where there was way too much French.
And that wasn't going to Worlds. That was definitely keeping it little bit exciting, a little bit forward and fluent going into these games. Look, I love it when you see the emotionally driven rosters, right? The teams to get really in your head, you know, bass booming, blasting out the microphone, peaking beyond control. And you can tell that as a team that when they're winning, when they're doing well, is on their A game. But maybe it comes with its own flaws, right? If you're not doing too well, comms become silent.
So the thing, Skimmy, that I just wanted to quickly look at or point out is the 3 bans from Gravitas.
Yeah.
They are just straight legacy bans, right?
Yep.
They're not bans because they have trouble versing this or it's a meta we're talking about. The Yone and the Katarina straight at Incursio. Don't even want to give him the chance to carry this game on his own. And the Elise to Sybil, because potentially same thing, right? It turns into that 1v9 where he's just able to gank every single lane off cooldown. And there's one thing Sybil's really good at is creating a path that's not there. Like you think he's on the other side of the map, but then all of a sudden he's diving your top laner. And that's something you need to be careful about. And again, Gravitas don't want that headache. And, you know, on the other side of the coin, I think that some of the best League of Legends we've seen from Azus is when he's on the Hecarim and Udyr. And those two taken away from him are just big impact tools, which he's not allowed to have anymore.
And it's interesting you highlight that, right? Because there definitely is a big emphasis on either side to target the junglers and try and make their life a little bit more difficult. Sybil has then defaulted to playing Lilia pretty much on repeat ever since, right? But the fact is, Gravitas has said, we've gone for these bans, this is our clear direction. Now we're going to ban Lilia and force your hand to say, you know, given that you have that volatility of, you know, you can be the hero or sometimes you just don't, you know, have that same effect on the game. We're going to try and make your life as difficult as possible. And you're going to dive deep into that champion pool of yours and whip out something different.
Like, well, at the moment, right, the Lilia pick here is just tier 1. Like, what do you pick that's better than the Lilia here? You know, in terms of Lilia can team fight, you know, depending on how far ahead you get, you win the 1v1, like in certain jungle matchups. And in terms of Sybil's champion pool, I was going to say, I don't know what he picks. Jarvan being the one that he does play, but in terms of, like, would you prefer the Jarvan or the Lilia? My money would be on Jarvan every day, the Lilia every day of the week.
Sure.
The one thing I very encouraging for me to see when you look at Gravitas and how close they were to taking last week's game over the line against Order. They haven't used the loss as a you know, as a demotivation. They've said, you know what, it was close. We've got a few things to learn. Let's get back on the horse. And I'm super excited to see how they play this 5v5 composition out.
I mean, what more can you ask for, right? The fact is, we've seen this team week by week strengthen. They've been able to fluidly, you know, swap in, you know, top laners, bottom laners, and sort of find out what their core starting 5-man roster is, and sort of trying to get themselves as match fit as possible. Obviously, Riz is starting here today, making his debut in the mid lane, and that might, you know, continue to be the go-to narrative here. Like, you know, you've got all these options, you've got this big roster to play around with. Add that extra level of depth, as you mentioned, with, you know, the creativity that they can play in these different roles. Cassiopeia being banned away. You mentioned that Riz might be one to pick that up. Piglet once again going for this Severe. You know, 3 games so far on it. Has flexed between the likes of the Dark Harvest lethality as well as the lethal tempo for the big uptime 6-item 500 CS spike. So you know, there's comfort and there's continuity between what we've seen them pop off in the past and look to continue doing so on.
And you know what, the one thing I want to see here, Skimmy, from Gravitas, I want to see them lock in Blitzcrank. Now, because Blitzcrank historically has a decent lane into Thresh, right? Because we touched on this last week, but you know, it is just a really good lane. But then you also want to pick Blitz into like a mobile 80 carries, and the Aphelios being an immobile 80 carry. And so in essence, depending on your 80 carry, like this being the Sivir, you have 2 hook targets, and you can also just deny Lantern with a ward, and you have a lot of kill threat, right? You can also match Thresh on the roams, and it's just a matchup that really favors the Blitzcrank. Obviously, you know, it's not all doom and gloom. Like, we've seen ML have some blinders on this Thresh. But Bard, okay, there you go. Aim my words.
Yeah,
don't even worry about the Blitz.
Unfortunately for you, they've decided to go for the more in China route and guarantee themselves that mobility to not only go forward, but also find creative angles, utilizing terrain to try and find those moments to execute upon. And obviously the ultimate really can be that sort of reset switch with the Tempered Fate. So, interesting choice. Be a new one here for Isaiah. Hasn't played it just yet. And final pick will be Aurelia.
Yeah, I don't mind that. I don't mind that at all. You know, we'll see how practice Riz is on the champion, of course. But it's a volatile lane. Like, the Aurelia really needs to get ahead, and you know, Silas needs to not die. Obviously, that's pretty basic knowledge, but in the sense that it has the potential to get out of control quite quickly. Now, the cute thing that Legacy could do here is they could put Incursio on the Renekton, or you follow the Renekton into the Aurelia. The Renekton Aurelia matchup is unplayable. The Renekton will beat the Aurelia no matter what, right? And so in that sense, if you're able to figure out what lane Aurelia is going to and you match it with the Renekton, then it's going to be a very rough night for Safa, especially when you pair that with the Jarvan. So it's going to be like a game of, you know, guess who, or a game of chess just to decide where this Aurelia is going, because the Legacy have the angle to completely shut down that pick.
Yeah, I mean, Winter has already played mid lane before, right? He's comfortable from his experience in the OCS last year, so, and we've already seen him flex it even this split, right? So if there were a possibility for it to be moved around to try and keep tabs on Safa and make his life a bit of a misery, then I wouldn't put it past Legacy to continue that idea. As for the mid-sign, you wondered, you know, whenever these reputable players in the bigger regions, you know, show off like Chovy and say, hey, this is what I'm thinking is really strong right now, it's always going to have that sort of cascading effect where the rest of the world go, hang on a minute, why does he think it's so good? What does he know that we don't, right? So, you know, another week, another new identity, I suppose, another new champion to throw into the flexible discussion of, you know, where is this champion being played? I
think Rizza, it might be the first sign on mid in the LCO, right? If I'm not, you're the stat man.
This will be the first one, yeah.
Yeah. So let's see how this one plays out. And again, there could be a flip. It could be Safa going into mid lane and playing the Aurelia mid, depending on where the Silas goes. So, you know, we'll have to keep our eyes on that one. But I'm excited to see how both compositions play out. I do think they actually suit the identities of both teams. Safa being that Aurelia Camille type player in solo queue in particular. You know, Rizza being kind of that unknown quantity. We haven't really seen anything from him in the LCO. This is his first game, so how is he going to perform, you know, under the lights, if you will, and with the nerves? You know, so yeah, I'm excited to see how this Gravitas roster plays out.
Certainly am, as we jump into game number 1 and figure out what the story looks like. Gravitas and Legacy 1 game away from each other in the standings, and it was Gravitas that got the head-to-head last time. We'll get to see how things play out here in this one, and I suppose look at the side waves more than anything as to how they can be played out, because no doubt Legacy are looking to try and find those, you know, early game spikes with especially, you know, your top jungle duo wanting to get ahead nice and early and keep Aurelia at tabs that, you know, he becomes irrelevant. You are forced into a 4-1 split or 1-3-1.
Yeah, you know what's interesting to me is that it doesn't look like Legacy, or Gravitas rather, are looking to have the Aurelia lane into the Silas. It looks like they're very happy just playing Aurelia into Renekton. And now, you know, that's interesting to me. I don't know if Safa knows something we don't know, Skimmy, or maybe this is just a matchup he's going to take the skill check on and feels like he's going to win it. But we'll have to see how that plays out.
That we will, and as we get ready to jump into this one, quick time to check in with one of the coaches. We've got Velixis on standby here, the coach for Gravitas. First of all, welcome back again onto the show to get your thoughts and feelings going into this one. I suppose I'll start with the obvious question I'm sure most people are asking. Big roster, already flexed in a couple of different lanes. Why Rizza now?
Yeah, so pretty much, as Nathan is a great player, we all know that by now, I'm sure. But Rizza has really been proving himself in scrims, and just the way that he synergizes with the team, it's a different type of style than Nathan. Nathan is obviously more of our control mage, Ari god, as you know his stream title did say. But yeah, Rizza is a different type of flavor that he can bring to our team. Hence why we're able to flex the Scion into his champion pool.
And on that sort of wavelength then, given that, you know, the possibility, you know, still so much up for debate with so many games left in the tank to get yourself into a playoff spot, is that really what this all boils down to? Forming as many ideas of what comps could look like and giving players stage experience? Obviously one thing to do well in scrims, but to perform on stage, make sure that you have as many identities and sort of, you know, squad membership pairings to go into those playoffs?
Oh, 100%. That's definitely consideration. And one great thing about having such a large roster is we're able to challenge ourselves even within our own team. So just as much as Nathan, Kiyose has grown since the start of the split, Rizza has as well, and they get to challenge each other and they both get to grow. And that's pretty much like the main point of this entire roster is about growth and development. And as you've seen, like through a lot of our games, we've really pushed teams to like the limit. Like Order, we had them panicking the other day. So like that's what we're about.
I think that's your bread and butter example, right? You know, we're definitely seeing that growth from week 1 when you first started here, now coming into that performance up against Order, a nail-biting game, and one that definitely did display a lot of that growth and confidence. And I suppose coming into this one, right, it's the second time going up against Legacy. It's your only victory so far on this circuit. To say, do you put any more emphasis on this one and go, look, you know, another win under the board, you know, it's a guaranteed team that we've, you know, beaten in the past. We've already got that mental edge over them. We need to prepare, you know, specifically for this team.
Well, we prepare for every single team. Like, we don't consider anyone to just be an easy win or anything like that. But Legacy have also proven themselves as well. Like, comparing them from the week 1 to even what they've been able to develop now, like, they have some shining lights in some of the positions, especially in Cursia. Like, it's hard to say that he's not a talented player, like when you see him on the Rift. So we still prepare as we would everybody else.
Yeah, we saw it from the bands there. Well, I welcome, well, I give you all the best, obviously, going into this situation. I welcome any craziness that we get to see in this game here, and very excited to see the mid-sign on performance for Riz's debut. Thank you for your time.
Awesome, thanks, Skinny.
Well, Juice, I got to see a couple of kills go out. What do we miss there in the mid lane?
I like that coach. I like him.
He's
I
on
like,
to it.
I like what he says. He's got his head on his shoulders, you know, and in terms of development and things of that nature. Also very respectful to the opposition, so I like that. Yeah, what did we miss? Okay, there was a few cheeky invades from Legacy at the blue buffs, managing to steal that one away from Azus very early on. There was a solo kill in the mid lane too that we missed. Incursia picking up the kill onto Rizza. Hook lands, this could be a kill here.
Yeah, that's a big hook actually. They're going to chase on through, looking for one more auto attack. The empowered auto attack there from Emil, hunting for it. Ignite already being used, just out of range. That was a little bit smurf to say the least, right? The hook then forcing the flash into the magical journey. We might not be done just yet because there's a little bit of counter jungling going on here. And
unironically, Skimmy, that play actually turns out to be, in terms of summoner spell advantage, more in the favor of of Gravitas than Legacy's. Because Piglet is just going to burn TP, get back to lane, be able to catch the minion wave. You know, obviously he's missed a few, right? We're going to put that down to just missing a few in lane, being down, you know, the CS that is down. But, you know, the Ignite's down on Emil. Double summoners on the 80 carry for no kill, so... Hashtag worth.
Yeah, well, I mean, I fully get it, right? You can imagine that Styled was thinking, look, I can just flash into range, one more auto attack, maybe get a little bit of movement speed there with the heal, and suddenly you realize, well, I'm up in CS, but I haven't really gained too much from this one. Maybe the trades come back to haunt me, maybe a gank goes sideways, and I really wish that was working in my favor regardless.
I really like what, sorry, Simi, I really like what Azus has done here. You know, he's the, hold that thought, he's the replay. So this is the solo kill that we saw minutes before in Cursia and managing to pick that one up. But this is the problem when you verse a Bard. Bard just cheats and leaves lane pretty much any time he wants. And he's able to just influence another lane like that. And you know, the Scion passive doing a little bit of work there. I actually, you know the Scion one trick in EU?
Solo Bolo?
Yeah, Solo Bolo, the Boss, what is it? Yeah. He, you can get Prowler's Claw on Scion, so the lethality item, and then when you're in Scion form, like the passive when you're dead, you can Prowler's Claw onto a target. How insane is that?
That's actually pretty broken. And this might be a link to Styled always to see how double summoners now just gets collapsed upon. But that was my point from before, right, Juice? The fact that Bard really is everywhere. He's just gone from top to bot and everywhere in between.
Absolutely just punishes the summoner being down on Styled, and this all stems from using it aggressively in lane. You know, they already won the trade a little earlier. They didn't need to flash, try and secure the kill, and that's all of a sudden been punished, Skimmy. So very good punish by Isaiah. And, you know, probably something we don't touch on enough was that Isaiah, I think his main champion last season, or at least, you know, the champion he's put some of the most time into is the Bard. I'm not going to call him a Bard one trick because he's had some blinders on other champions, but it is definitely one of the champions he feels most comfortable on, and something we haven't seen him pick much. So he feels very comfortable picking it into the Thresh, and we're already seeing the impact of his Bard.
And I suppose that's the key word more than anything, right? That Bard has that impact. You know, the kit is built to do that, between the stuns, to the journeys, to the ultimates, that, you know, as much as they can definitely showcase and pop off and have utility, more so than just team fighting with, you know, denying structures. If you don't have the experience in a champion, they can definitely come back to grief you as well. So going to be really excited to see what Isaiah can do on this champion, justify the merit that's gone his way. As for
and
Legacy,
look at him now.
First Dragon.
Look at him now. Look where he's going. He's already heading towards the... Yeah. And I think this is... it's just going to be a little in here. Not happen. And I think this is why Piglet has adopted the type of build that he has. Because he knows a game plan is just to lane, influence mid lane, influence top lane, try and save the Aurelia in this matchup, in which, to be honest, Staff is doing a very good job being up CS in this matchup. And the Sivir is going to be down farm, but he's able to just boomerang farm from afar.
Yeah.
Right? And we're seeing they aren't able to dive the Sivir because at this point with Spell Shield, with Sivir Ultimate, he's quite safe. You know, there is a lot of unreliable CC in the bot lane of Legacy. So again, Azai is just able to influence the rest of the map like so.
And I think you raised a lot of good points, right? The fact that, first of all, tier 2 boots in the bot, so that he can roam with efficiency to combine with his E. The fact that, you know, Lilia isn't necessarily the strongest for taking these early objectives, so having that protection with a second member there also assisting. And then, yeah, finally, you know, with Piglet, the fact that he's gone for the Dark Harvest, that he can farm away from far with, you know, the boomerang for safety, that he can, you know, go for this 2v1. And sure, I mean, he's going to sacrifice some CS, you can see it from the scoreboard already, but doesn't feel at any risk of, you know, dying in this 1v2. As Incursio, a little bit of a cheeky brawl, sidesteps out that one, not going to get locked in place, and no harm, no foul, but he's definitely loving life in the mid lane, as he'll also find himself up by 20.
Yeah, and this is the problem, Skimmy. This is what you need to weigh up when you're the side of Gravitas. What are you getting done on the other side of the map in exchange for Aphelios getting a free lane, getting a CS lead, as well as getting 3 turret plates? Because it can't be for nothing, and in this case, they were able to pick up the Rift Herald. So we'll need to keep our eyes on the Rift Herald play and how that influences the game because, again, you don't want to be giving the free farm away.
All in here, as Ultimate goes on out, Seth in a whole bunch of trouble right now, forced to flash away, he's already used that TP, out comes the TP here from Gravitas, looking to try and retreat and engage. Okay, well, Rizza pops it, at least he zones away any kind of threat that Sybil may have been possessing. He had Flash, had Cataclysm, but decides not to go for the all-in. They're going to be quite content there, burning double summoners and double globals at that because there's a huge summoner advantage given that they have 3 TPs to 2. So really taking the idea of we're going to play these side waves, we're going to play the macro, and that's going to be our big takeaway from this game against Legacy tonight.
Yeah, for sure. But you know, it's probably no, I'm not going to say panic, maybe nerves rather. You know, burning that TP preemptively probably didn't need to do that. Better safe than sorry. And I think Safa's being a little bit greedy here. No flash up, Thresh roam to the top side, and we might see Safa go down here.
In a whole bunch of trouble right now, and Kersey is on the hunt. As a 3-man stun goes on cross, ults to safety. Blade switching back to the minion wave as well, buying a whole bunch of time for a rotation to come on through. But there is no TP, you called it! The cavalry will not be coming here. And Legacy pick him up underneath the
TP bot side. Incursio.
Okay. Now goes the boomerang. Piglet in trouble and goes, hang on a minute, why on earth is he here? Gonna pop the ultimate as he steals it away, gets exhausted straight away, not gonna get stunned. Bar can't find it, but then he goes! They time it, out goes the Tempered Fate, and only locking in place to Aphelios. Can they turn things around as Zeus going for the flash, going for the Q, bop on your head, and good night, sweet dreams. Everything going his way, and despite it being a 2-level gap, he has double buffs, he can run you down. Oh, look at the lifesteal! Now he's stolen double buffs, but he's already burnt flash. And with Sion there too, it seemed to be a buff transfer complete.
Yeah, buff transfer complete. We'll keep those buffs in the game just that little bit longer. It's already been 11 minutes. So it's a game of 2 tails, right? It's one team making a play top side. Okay, they potentially could have killed him there. One team making a play top side, the other team responding on the bot side of the map, and maybe a lack of discipline here. But you think Piglet gets away? Look at the stun from Bard here into the wall, 2-man stun, but Incursio is able to finish that one off. And you think maybe they can turn here, Skimmy? I thought, okay, Legacy are in for a chance, but Lilia sleep, a little bit too much damage, and look at the turn here. I thought, okay, he's whiffed it. He's E2'd into the minion wave. The healing below 50% HP is just too much from the Silas and goes down. But the problem I have with Skimmy, or the thing that concerns me, if you're a Gravitas fan, is the Silas is ahead, right? And Silas, as we know, with a free lane with the Everfrost, becomes such a nuisance and very hard to deal with in the side lane.
Yeah.
And you always have the Renekton, you know, at this point to deal with the Aurelia, but my eyes are definitely on Incursio because he's already in a point in which we start to talk about, is he able to carry this one? Will he carry this one? He's done it time and time again, and he's now in prime position to do it again.
And certainly is in a position to do it again, right? You know, you get that dream laning set up to start things off with. You've got a few key ultimates that you can take away as well to facilitate that, you know, sort of play style as well. Wouldn't be too surprised if we see him steal away the likes of a Lullaby. Guarantee that he can jump on through, guarantee kills, guarantee CC with the Everfrost into such. Everyone's been summoned. That's a whole bunch of gold going their way, but that's a 2-man Cataclysm. And Sybil's forced to flash out of his own Cataclysm. Out goes the Moonlight Vigil from downtown. Only one person getting locked in place here by the Tempered Fate. The Herald, it's uncontested. Forget that one. We don't care about that. We want to get you instead. They're going to find 2, dismantling the Gravitas bot lane. And Curcio is be flirting with danger as he roams up mid-river, looking to see if they could do a collapse with Winterer, but game plan still feels like it might be on here as Zeus needs to run to the safety of that top tier 1.
Unfortunately, these are the problems that you have when you draft the Sivir into a Jarvan. Or you know, I can't remember exactly where Jarvan was picked, but nevertheless, when you're the Sivir and there's a Jarvan in the game, every time that your flash is down, you have no choice but to sit in that Cataclysm and hope you either survive or you dish out enough damage to turn the team fight around. And with this Sivir build, hard engage is not your best friend. Because what you want to do is just throw boomerangs, right? You want to sit in the lane, throw boomerangs at them, hoping that you're not getting hard engaged on. At this point, when your flash is down, you have a spell shield, but the spell shield doesn't deny the Cataclysm. You're just a sitting duck, and that's exactly what we saw there. And it's a very good pull of the trigger from Sybil and the Legacy lineup.
Certainly was, and one that found great success. He's able to live to tell the tale. Burns his flash in the process, but he won't mind because all funds the greater good, and that is what they're finding themselves at here at 15 minutes into this game. Up by roughly 1,500 gold. Enough of a gold lead for them to find power in all the right places, and that comes predominantly here by the 2 mythic items completed by arguably their 2 main damage sources is in the Sylas and the Aphelios. Yeah,
the Aphelios is really accelerated. You know, sure, it had a few missteps in the early laning phase, but at this point in the game, you know, having the mythic item, having the Zerkers, being almost 10 CS per minute with quite a few turret plates under the belt, we're really ticking, you know, scary territory with this Aphelios. And it is only a 2k gold lead, but relative strength with, you know, with the champions that they have. Incursio is just being caught in the side lane, so nice little pick up there from Gravitas. Still looking, you know, for things inside lanes, right? It's not a composition, you know, traditionally where they're at a point in which they just want to brute force 5v5, but you know, if they're able to just pick side lanes all day like that, then they'll take those 9 times out of 10.
Looks to me as if he got caught trying to interrupt the TP of Reza. You can see that cooldown's coming up very quickly. So baited into a false security there, as maybe the Cataclysm. He's locked in place, forced to flash out of that one to try and go to the Magical Journey, but then a 2-man Temper faces. Maybe we actually can turn this one around. The 2v2 continues as the bot lane engage. And, well, quite honestly, no harm, no foul. They'll poke a few spells and say, we should probably turn our attention towards this Herald, guys, because the Zeus is got it down to 50%.
Yeah, and are Legacy going to contest it? Because they do have the health to contest this one. Renekton is going to get there. Is it quick enough, though?
Oh, but they're actually getting zone members away. Now going to go for a stun. Full CC connection. Nothing magical about that one. The journey is back to the fountain. You're dead. Oh, spell shield. Denies a nice little hook that ML had thrown his way. So, a kill that goes the way of Legacy and the denial of the Herald too.
And a shutdown. And the Herald denied. So the shutdown for me is key, right? Like, Incursio already has enough gold, but he's managed to pick up the shutdown too. And we talk about Incursio, right, being this player. You know, he's not a player that you're going to see get 10 CS per minute. It's just not the way he plays the game. He's happy to move from his lane. Sometimes, you know, where the minion waves aren't favorable, you know, for him. But he's able to just get those kills inside lanes to make it worth his time. Already 5-3-1 in this game. Few turrets under his belt as well in terms of gold now. Or 1 turret, rather. And he's just at a point in where he's so far ahead. And, you know, his next base is going to be a significant one. And it's only going to be an uphill battle from here because we talk about Sivir scaling. You know, Sivir scaling, 500 CS, crit build, able to ricochet and kill multiple members in team fights. But with this build, you don't have that luxury.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, if you look at the composition of Gravitas, they're not ahead, right? They're not ahead in top lane. They're not ahead in the jungle matchup in particular. They're not ahead in mid lane. So Gravitas' comp, Death Bush, might hold that thought.
Temper Fate, okay, does connect. There's the Lantern, gonna put a ward on top of that Lantern to try and make his life as difficult as possible. Forces out the flash, the hook is there, a 3-man route, but it just does not mean enough. Beautiful play there from Gravitas.
Nice.
Execution was pretty spot on.
Very nice there, very good pick up, and they're gonna break mid turret because of it, so might actually catch ML.
Actually might.
No
There's going to be a 2-man slay. He's going to get locked in place, but I saw a knockup. Now 2 people get knocked up together. Cataclysm is absolutely huge here by the Shy Ball. He's doing whatever he can. Rock and roll, popping off. An absolute hero with a stride breaker, dashing on through, gets himself a double kill, and puts enough juice in the tank to ensure that Winterer can collect one for himself as well. Now chasing on down with red buff. Isaiah with no flash. Well, actually he does have flash and exhaust if he so desires, but with no mana. Winterer decides, well, if you're going to greed it, I might just try and go for an all-in here. And it might take a while, but he might be able to run him down.
And does he use his flash? Does he just take the death, or does he use his flash?
Oh,
So he takes,
man.
yeah, I mean,
Where's the
at
flash?
that point, Skimmy, if you are using the exhaust, just use the flash
Oh,
too.
no.
Yeah.
He'll be kicking himself about that one.
The thing I wanted to touch on before that little pick team fight exchange was Gravitas' composition, if not ahead, does run out of damage. Does not have sustainable damage for those team fights. And so we see here, right, really nice pick onto Styled. Again, greedy with the summoner spells. Could have just flashed out of it and lived to fight another day. Really good pink ward onto top of the Lantern, so Styled couldn't take that one. But the trade back damage, even though 1v3, is just so significant. And they think they have another pick here onto ML. But keep your eyes on the Silas. Just a Scion ultimate into 3 or 4 members doing a significant amount of damage. He's able to live on the back end there, and it's just a cleanup crew in the front line here. Winter is basically untouched and still hasn't even used the Dominus. It's on cooldown.
Yeah, I mean, just a knock-up chain to try and break up the party that Gravitas were bringing their way as they went for a tier 1 turret dive. And the punishment came back to haunt them eventually. Stagger death timers and greedy summoner usage all around, really, as we get ourselves into the third Drake, and one that continues to favor Legacy. We're now driving home the momentum of Soul Point condition.
And Incursio again, just roaming towards the side lane because who needs CS at this point? I mean, he is, and we do say this ironically, but he is up CS as well.
Yeah,
but
that's the funny part.
But it's also, it is 20 minutes at 130 CS.
He loves to roam, and he's got himself a Cosmic Drive now, so even more mobility to fund that ability, that habit of being everywhere at once. Winter, he got engaged upon. Ah, no! He flashed and dashed and hoped that he could survive, but well, Sybil locks him in place with the Cataclysm. Might be another one of those run and gun high situations where he's buying time, trying to pop off like it's a solo queue situation, 1v2. Not going to be enough. The CC the damage and the AD power coming through clutch as we turn our attention now towards top side as Gravitas looking to try and make a cross-map play. It's going to be Incursio pretending to be an Aurelia. Out goes the stopwatch, buying a fair bit of time. Incursio might be actually 1v2 this one. Zeus is flirting with danger and doing what Lilia does best, and that's kiting.
And that's the problem that you have as ML gets caught. Yeah, he might actually go down. We'll have to wait and see. Good ultimate used. Ooh.
23 HP, Jubes. Ah, he's flashed! Click the Lantern. Oh, no. It was clean. We'll take that.
You definitely take those, and you're very happy that the gold's going across to your Siva, but again, it's just a battle of two sides of the map, right? It's one side getting picked off, then the other one getting picked off. And I think it speaks to both of these teams and the inexperience that they have, in the sense that they aren't able to accept a win on one side of the map without playing safe on the other. And this is something that we see, you know, the top teams in the league do, like Pentanet, Peace, Direwolves. They're able to, you know, get a pick, get themselves a kind of a stable footing back into the game, and just use that time to farm or get vision. But it's just bloodbaths on both sides of the map. And, you know, for the viewing experience, it's nice to watch, right? You always want to watch fighting and outplays and kills, but you know, it's probably something we want to look at and see, okay, this is growth. This is what growth looks like.
It's definitely a chance of, well, if nothing is working that side, if we are getting punched on in the weekend of this map, then we're going to try and make our own play. And, you know, that is definitely a positive sign to look forward to right now. You know, in terms of kills, it has been one that's been full of kills per minute to match the minutes into this game, 22 minutes into this one. But you've got that growing concern that Legacy have managed to find fights at the right time. They've got themselves in a situation where 2.5 minutes and Soul Point is there for the taking. And, you know, Gravitas won't have that luxury of being able to avoid anymore. They'll have to make a decision. Do we go for Baron, or do we, you know, want to fight and contest this?
In terms of Soul Point, though, it is definitely the one that you want to lose if you had to choose one to lose. So, you know, potentially they're talking amongst themselves and they're happy to give away Soul Point and just fight the Elder Drake, because Elder Drake is just the ultimate equalizer, right? And it always just comes down to the one team fight, that one setup, that one pick, and the game isn't in a state at this point where Gravitas can't win a team fight, right? It's not a gold lead that's insurmountable. So if you're Gravitas, it's the conversation you've got to be having right now. Do we want to contest? Do we want to give it in? You know, Skimmy, at this point, maybe you want to consider giving it, because if you do lose the Soul as well as the team fight, you ultimately lose the Baron, and then that swings into, like, you know, 10,000 gold lead before you know it. Might see a pick here, though.
That's what happens when you have vision like this. You know that something could happen. But no, you're totally right. I mean, if you look at the soul point benefit that, you know, Legacy would acquire, not to the strongest ultimate impact in terms of reduction. You definitely favor it more so for a Gravitas roster to acquire those stacking up. But the movement speed will be quite nice. You know, we've seen that they've been quite willing to sacrifice CS and force those rotations. So having an extra movement speed to fund that habit is not going to go unmissed.
Yeah, and the boomerangs are just doing a little bit of work in the mid lane here. I guess this is the one thing that this type of build does offer. If you want priority, you get the priority. Safa might get into a fight here bot lane against Incursio.
They're going to trim that wave, make sure that that bottom turret does not fall on down. Put back Safa for the meantime. Level 13 is where he's at right now, but highest in the game at this stage is Winter at level 15. An absolute powerhouse on this Crocodile. Out goes the skirmish, the Dragon sporting in 30 seconds. Zonius has already been burnt. Down goes the box, he's forced to flash away. Already used the looting lullaby, and now you have no jungler contest this one. This is exactly what Legacy want. Picking them apart one by one, not a fight they really set up for accordingly. And Legacy very happy to engage in a situation like that because forget the Dragon and run straight to Baron.
Yeah, it's just a false sense of security there coming out of Asus. I think he thought, you know, this was his side of the map. He had Isaiah next to him and that was his Gromp to take. But unfortunately, Legacy are just, you know, they're not giving anything. They're not giving an inch. You know, some teams will be okay to give away the Gromp there, give away the turret. Legacy has said, you know what, we're going to fight for absolutely everything. We're in the point in the game where we don't need to give anything. And that's what we saw there. So really good, you know, heads up play from ML.
For a 2v2, however, and this is not one that I would say would favour you because especially with these two Bruiser boys getting all up in your face, it's only going to spell one thing, and that's disaster. Baron's been taken on one end of the map, Dragon's been acquired for the soul point on the other, and these stagger death timers are starting to balloon that gold lead that you mentioned, Juice, that you started to fear.
Dude, the hilarious thing about this was we said maybe they shouldn't contest this Dragon, just let it get to Elder, keep the gold deficit at 3,000. And we'll live to fight another day. But they lose the soul anyway, and then they lose the Baron, and now it's looking pretty grim. The replay here again, they caught Asus just on that Gromp. Were able to just burn him down really quickly, using the Lilia ultimate on I think one member, and that's just unacceptable at this point in the game. And that just swings into a Baron, into a soul, and into a 7,000 gold lead.
Fortunately for him, caught on the wrong side of the map at such a late moment into this game where big, impactful buffs were up for the taking. And, well, Legacy, you had to imagine they would be sniffing out that part of the map too to not only get some vision, but some presence and priority to look to map their assault. So, punished accordingly. Well, 26 minutes into this one, and that's ballooned the gold lead, as well as the kill count in their favor. And with all these buffs in their back pocket to play around with for the next couple of minutes, it'll be interesting to see how they decide to play around with it. They've already done a fair bit of damage to some of these turrets, to lanes that have been focused on, and primarily those side waves, as you'd imagine, given that Incursio has been the main benefactor of all these kills. But Winter are very keen to sit for that side lane too, and that's why we find ourselves in a 1-3-1.
Yeah, and something significant that we haven't really touched on, Skimmy, is the fact that Winter was up 3 levels. Aurelia just hit level 14, and hard engage here.
Out goes the hook, and Milk might be the sacrificial lamb as the bot lane split apart. Left and right they go. Sybil sitting there in mid-turret thinking, well, how do I play this one out? And Gravitas pop everything between Tempered Fate and On the Run. They really try to run and gun and chase you down, but Legacy split like wildfire and say, well, we'll just continue doing side waves.
Yeah, and it's just unreliable engage tools, right? A Bard ulti is not reliable, Sion ulti is not reliable, and Incursio might be caught here, misses the Aurelia ultimate. He's okay. I just wanted to touch on the level discrepancies before they engaged. It was a 2 to 3 level lead in the top lane. Yeah. It's a 2 to 3 level lead in the mid lane. Safa might fall down here again.
He's looking to try and punch on right now, looking for that first reset. Finds a shot down, takes that Sybil down for 45 seconds right now. And that's what they're looking for, and that's what they were trying to do in the mid lane before. Remove as many of these Baron buffs as possible, stem the bleeding, prevent the push and the collapse from all 3 lanes, because that's what you're seeing from Legacy. Every single wave pushed in their favor, utilizing the Baron buff to its extent. Max range on the chains as Incursio bought more than he can chew. He steals away the Sivir ult and uses it to run out of dodge. Manages to hang on to his flash and might say, catch me if you can.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those like weird looking hooks. You know, where Silas latches on as you're walking away, so it does look like the range is a little bit bigger than it is. And Bard ultimate, no flash. Oh, Incursio does have flash.
Legacy have cancelled their recalls there to try and protect him right now. He got put to sleep, but he used it and he buffed it there with a stopwatch. Beautifully done here by Incursio. Safa gonna fall on down for his crimes. Can they get the Graviton proc? Can they lock him in place? Doesn't really matter. Mr. Winter is on the job. He dashes on through. A flawless game for him. 5-0 and 5 now. He'll pick up another kill. And with the respawn time is getting longer and longer, without Baron buff, they might finish what they started and take down an inhibitor.
Yeah, that inhibitor does look like it's going down. The good thing though is that Sion managed to push out the bot wave. They will not be in any danger of losing 2 inhibitors unless that turret bot side is low enough to just go tank, which it quite possibly could be. And all of a sudden they might be in engage range, but looks like they just take the inhibitor and back out.
Oh no, there it is. One final shot will do it. It's a minion of all things that will secure that inhib in their favor. 29 minutes into this one, and Sean, there is a massive gold lead now favoring Legacy. It is what you feared, Juves. 10k gold lead now for Legacy as a result. But you have those late game buffs still to cycle through to look forward to.
And just look at the gold that we got.
The gold lead tells it all, really, doesn't it?
4k lead on Incursio, 3k lead on Renekton. And so all of a sudden, you know, that's a 7k gold lead on your solo lanes, right? You know, Piglet on Siva's done a pretty good job to keep up in terms of, you know, remaining somewhat within touching distance, but all across the board, it's just grim. It is grim.
And because a boomerang and just hope for the best and be like, hang on a minute, these guys are way too accelerated. I need to be, you know, the attack speed build, if anything, at this point. Yeah,
and that's the thing, Skimmy. It's not like the champions for Gravitas get better the later the game goes. You could make that argument if you had, you know, something like the on-hit Siva or something that scales with crit, because crit does scale really well in League of Legends, of course. But, you know, in this sense, it's still that kind of poke build, Dark Harvest proc reliant, and these team fights or the setup to Siege won't go long enough because Legacy will just pull the trigger and you won't have enough relevant damage to burn through who you need to get through.
I suppose the biggest evidence of, the biggest proof of that is he's only got 4 stacks in the Dark Harvest. Hasn't really found that many skirmishing opportunities, right? And
that's a good pickup.
It's a sad story, but an accurate one, really, to paint sort of the current state of things and how reliant they were on snowballing through that avenue.
Yeah, and I mean they did a good job early, right? They did actually get the leads in the early game, but I think Legacy were just a little bit too strong, a little bit too good, a little bit too quick moving around the map. And there might just be a dive here.
Double ultimates. Siva and Siva Jr. doing what they can to try and find that win angle. That flanking angle. Speaking of, Winter jumps into the backline, 1v5, Dominant's active, doing whatever he can to be downright disgusting and dirty. It's a double kill so far here for Style. He gets exhausted, but with the Chakrams just popping off like you would not believe. He'll finish it with a triple. They're looking for a flawless ace. There's only Sion there in the afterlife that they're going to kite away. He gets the quads. The pens has been stolen, but the ace is there. And it's the Nexus and a GG screen in their sights.
Yeah, man, Winter can team fight like this on Renekton. Why has he been picking Azir top this whole split?
True.
You know, very, very good game from the Legacy lineup. Incursio, Winter in particular, playing 2 extremely solid games. And Sybil just being that enabler. And this seems to be the Legacy identity, right? It seems to be the champions in which they perform their best. Something where Sybil's able to put his foot down, get his name on the game early, get some assists, get some kills, and just set up Incursio and Winter to roam and just, you know, leave their lanes, if you will, and influence others.
It was a bloodbath, Juice. There's probably no other way to describe it. But in the end, you know, that one play around objectives, that one late game condition to play for the composure aspect, Legacy had that down under wraps. And, well, Mac, you look at that game, you think, hang on a minute, how did it get so chaotic so quickly? And how are we looking at a situation here where Renekton can just 1v9?
Well, it's really comes off the back of that situation you guys were pointing out as well, where you're like, oh, maybe Gravitas doesn't contest the Dragon here at that 24-minute fight. But then not only do they win the fight, they get both the main objectives of the Baron as well as the Soul, and then from there it just slowly spiraled downhill. You can see Gravitas were trying to hit back at points, but unfortunately for them, with that Baron buff, it was just a 3-way split for Legacy, and it was just a slowly but surely end to the game. Sieging the base off the back of that Baron buff, and from there it looked like Gravitas just were a little lost.
Yeah, and I mean, you play Legacy's game in those situations that we see here. Legacy's game is chaotic. We'll call it what it is. It's chaotic, it's skirmish heavy, and they take fights. And in all of their fights, they're basically trying to skill check you, right? Incursio's going for the skill check, Winthra going for the skill check, and it works for them in times, right? Evidently with their 3 wins now that they've got on the board, and it obviously is quite a volatile playstyle, but we see here, right? This is a fight they're taking at a numbers disadvantage. Yes, Gravitas are the ones that are diving, but this is just, you know, it plays true to the identity that Legacy have built for themselves as the exhaust goes down there that we laughed about. But again, here, just a really nice flank from Winthra. Knows his job in this particular team fight. You know, at this point, he's level 18, 3 levels ahead the next nearest person. And he's able to just... He's just standing there.
Yeah.
He's half health. He's full health almost still at the end of this team fight.
He's untouchable. There's nothing that they can do about it by that point, right? And, you know, Philios has managed to reach that point in the game also where he can pop off and shred through anybody as long as there's enough uptime for him to execute within that range. And I think it was a game that there was definitely clear identities between both rosters, and we really appreciated what we saw, that, you know, Gravitas was saying, right, we're going to play those sideways, we're going to have TP advantages where we can play. I think for them, they're going to feel pretty hard done by the fact that they knew that the Irelia needed resources to be shown their way to try and make it work. That we consistently saw cross-map plays taking place, and it was, you know, unfortunately for Gravitas, not always one that they were, you know, winning out on, right? So the gold lead was in Legacy's favor, but slowly and bit by bit, it started to grow and grow and grow until, I suppose, the game itself, more than anything, was like, here's a soul point, here's a respawn time, 30, 40 seconds onwards. You know, these trades that continue to take place doesn't work so much maybe in your benefit anymore. So they're going to feel hard done by this one, but no doubt, definitely lots of positive to take away from it.
And someone that is usually pretty positive about every situation is Incursio, and I believe Nat's down on the side lanes with that man. So, Nat, you want to have a quick chat with the mid lane target band man?
Yes, I would love to hear a little bit more about the game from Incursio. Congratulations on that win. You guys were looking pretty good form. I want to know a little bit more about the draft and why you guys had the 1-3-1 composition. And, you know, I feel like it's something that we don't really see from you guys too much executed that well.
All right, so thank you for the win, first of all. Like, thank you for congratulating me. But, yeah, the 1-3-1, I don't think it was something we, like, really were going into the game thinking we'd do. I think it was more just the reactions into their picks. Like, we just saw the opportunity to pick Silas Flex, and, yeah, we sort of just stemmed from that and just, like, reactions to whatever they did. We didn't really have anything in mind. We'd had stuff in the mind, but, like, you know, we didn't, like, end up going that way. You know what I mean?
Yeah, of course. So then you say it was very reactive in the draft. It felt like that for the first, you know, 15 odd minutes of the game. Is that how it felt for you guys? Is that what it was like from your perspective with so many back and forth kills?
Definitely some kills were not intentional, or some deaths were not intentional, like me inting in the bot lane, that was not intentional. But yeah, I think we played it pretty like how we expected it to go, aside from some really weird things we've done. Like, let's be honest, some of the plays were pretty troll, but I think otherwise, yeah, we played it pretty like, let's say the way we wanted to anyways.
How were you guys feeling? You got the, you know, you got a few kills on them, and then out of the back of that, you got a clean soul point and Baron as well. You know, talk me through that whole time period in the game for you, and then what your game plan was to close out the game.
Well, I think we had a pretty good opportunity to get the dragon early on, so we took that, and then we were sort of just like, they were kind of just brick walling us in most of our lanes, or not, just basically trying not to fight us. So we pretty much early on just decided, hey, let's play for Baron and Soul, and we can just close out that way because we don't really get outscaled. And yeah, that was pretty much it. Like, from gameplay wise, we just accepted that if they don't want us to roll them early on, we'll roll them later.
Oh, look, it seemed to go that way for you guys. The last question I do want to quickly ask, though, was, you know, how did it feel coming up against RZA? It was the first time you like versed him, that we've seen him play. Was it unexpected, or how did you handle it?
With RZA, I honestly haven't really versed him a lot, so I didn't really know what to expect. And from what like I ended up versing, it's just, I feel like they just put him on something, like we kind of banned out like his main champions, and he just kind of like went off to a champion he doesn't really play that much, or not from what I know, and he kind of just wanted to brick wall me and make it so I can't really do much in the game. But from what we saw, that didn't really happen. So yeah, no, he's not bad. It was actually all right, but I expected Kyose today, so it's really weird. Yep, I've realized. All right, thanks. Catch you guys.
There you have it. So that is the first time I've ever really heard the term non-intentional inting. Can someone please break that one down for me?
Non-intentional inting.
I've always heard people like talk about you're trading up in terms of structures, right? And sometimes, you know, you'll be the one that goes in for a fight where you net positive, right? Because like the gold goes in all the right directions. We see it with buff transfers and kills and item completes and even bounties being saved onto and whatnot. So I'm gonna try and be the benefit of the doubt here and think he's on that kind of wavelength, but maybe Jubes knows some like secret solo queue dark tech.
I don't know. I think Incursio has got his own wavelength.
Yeah.
Very evident in his Katarina Yone tech. So I don't want to try and understand him because then it takes away like the mysteriousness of the guy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like we leave Incursio to be on the pedestal that he's on at the moment, and we don't try to understand it.
He's quite mysterious with all those pixels. You look at him,
He is, yeah.
Yeah, and you're trying to figure out, you know, that's a nice jersey, and like, you know, that's a lot of charisma, but you know, give me this introduction, and you know, you're trying to count the pixels and sort of put it all together. It's there's definitely a lot going on there, and I love it. I'm all for it.
Yeah. I love a lot going on. Non-intentionally, intentionally throwing, and I'm going to non-intentionally, intentionally throw this one to a break, so don't go too far. Second match coming up, not too far away.
Forces out the flash. The hook is there, a three-man room, but it just does not mean enough. Beautiful play there from Gavitas.
Yeah, nice.
Execution was pretty spot on.
Very nice there. Very good pick up, and they're going to break the mid turret because of it. So might actually catch ML.
Actually might.
No
There's going to be a
flash.
two-man play. He's going to get locked in place, but I saw a knockout. Now two people get knocked up together. Cataclysm is absolutely huge here by the Shy Ball. He's doing whatever he can. Rock and roll, popping off. An absolute hero with a stride breaker, dashing on through, gets himself a double kill.